The Cuppa Podcast with Kat Wright.
I'd like us to start at the very beginning. What's the root for, Andy's Man's Club? So how did it all start? I mean, who was Andy?
Andy was Luke's brother-in-law. Luke is the founder of Andy's Man Club. And he took his own life in 2016. Luke saw the devastation that it had on his family. It was, having to bear the news to his family and go and run errands, like go and get Andy's car from where he left it and things like that. And he saw the devastation it had on the family, in particular his little boy, who was his nephew. And he wanted to do something to prevent other families from going through the same sort of experience. So he put out a post on Facebook about setting up a coffee group for men, where men could go and talk about anything that might be bothering them in a safe place and get stuff off the chest. And that's how Andy's Man Club was born. I was actually at the first ever Andy's Man Club meeting 4.5 years ago. There were 9 of us there. Luke threw me the ball and said, tell us who you are and why you're here. And I spoke for about 20 minutes about all sorts of things that I didn't know were even bothering me, things that I knew that I wanted to talk about, but also little things that obviously were bothering me, because I spoke about them that night, but I didn't realise before speaking about them that they were even an issue. I passed on the ball to the next person, and they did exactly the same, just unloaded everything that they'd been holding in for the last 20 odd years, and so on and so forth, until we got around all the lads. And at the end of that meeting, we realised that we had something really powerful there. Just by giving men a platform to talk, we'd unlocked a door, which was really, really powerful. And from there, we've grown exponentially, really, over the last 4 years. So I was volunteering with Andy's Man Club, running our flagship group in Halifax. So I've been doing that for 4 years, and then earlier this year, I've actually taken a full-time position working for Andy's Man Club. So it's changed from doing something that I do on a voluntary basis in my own time alongside a full-time job to becoming my full-time job. And it's great that I can do something that I'm passionate about for a living. I feel really privileged to be in that position. We were having close to 1,000 men a week attending our groups across the country. We've currently got 35 groups. So 1,000 men attending the Monday night sessions, which from being able to see where it first started and watching the journey that we've been on over the last 4 years, it's absolutely staggering from my point of view personally, to see nearly 1,000 lads going on a Monday night.
For you personally, going to that first meeting, were you you saw that post on Facebook, were you like, I have to go and do it? Or was it more like, I'm not too sure if I should go and do it? How did you feel, at the time when you saw that post?
I was going through a pretty rubbish time. My relationship had broken down. I'd lost a couple of friends in close succession, and I found that I was going to the pub every night just to avoid being in the house on my own. I knew that wasn't healthy. I knew that wasn't the right way to deal with things. So when I saw Luke's post, I thought, that's something that I'd be interested in. I've known Luke most of my life anyway, from playing rugby when we were younger. But as it happens, one of my friends had also seen Luke's post, and he knew that I was going through a bit of a rough time. So he got in touch with me and said, come on, we'll go down there together, which were really powerful. Because I was thinking about going down myself anyway, but the fact that I had somebody to go with just made sure that I did. It gave me the confidence and a bit of support that I needed to be able to actually get through that door for the first time. Because it's not easy to walk through those doors for the first time, and I've seen men do it over the years. And I always say it's the hardest part is joining the meeting initially. As soon as you're there and you're speaking to people and you realise that you're in the right place and you can hear other people talking, and you might be able to relate to what they're saying, or it resonates with you somehow, and you just know that it's the right place for you and you're going to get the help that you need.
Were you ever the kind of person that would be like, no, I don't talk about my feelings? Or were you more of a person that, yes, was somewhat open to talk about their feelings, either in a group setting or not?
No, I've never the majority of the stuff that I spoke about that night I'd never spoken about before in my life. If somebody had directly asked me about them, I'd probably brush it off and say, I might give them a short answer, but not really go into how it made me feel or anything like that. But having a platform, having a place where I knew that I could talk in a secure environment, a non-judgmental environment, a place where I didn't have to then face it on a day-to-day basis, it was the key to maybe opening up fully, really. Like I say, it's hard sometimes to open up to those people that you're close to or those that you live with, because you feel like you might be a burden on them. If you live with them, then you've got to face that on a daily basis. They might be worried about you. But having somewhere where you can go that's outside of your normal routine, your normal life, it kind of separates it a little bit and just makes it a lot easier to open up and get stuff off your chest.
And then going from that first meeting, was it like something that started on a monthly basis with Andy's Man Club, wasn't it? For what I've read. And then more people got the wind of it. In a way, I know how it's like, more for men than women. For women, it's a little bit more, in a way, easier to open up, but for men can be very difficult. I understand, in a way, how it can be, because I have male friends who find it very, very difficult, because from my experience, I think it depends on the person's upbringing, because I think if someone had that role model in their lives where the male was the kind of person that always had that, would only show that strong face and not showing their feelings and whatever, and then that would project into the kids. That's what I found so far, like speaking to lots of different people about mental health, because sometimes it's like this, regardless of being a woman or being a man, we're all people, aren't we? But yeah, absolutely. And that's why, as soon as I read about Andy's Man Club, I was a bit like, all right, it's just taken from a little group to having all these mass scale operation going, isn't it, almost?
We've got 35 groups across the country, but we've only got 4 members of staff, and I'm the most recent addition to the team. I only joined the team a couple of months ago, so we've built the majority of that with using volunteers and things like that. We've built everything from the ground up. Myself and Andy, who does the similar job that I do, we both used the services. We've both gone on to running a group, and then we've come to head office and actually got a job out of it. All of the trustees are people who've run groups themselves and used the services themselves, so we've built it really organically from the ground up at a grassroots level, and it's just been amazing to watch the journey that we've been on over the last few years, and long may it continue. I can't wait for what the next 12 months holds. Yeah, and it seems like it's going well, but then COVID hit. How did that, I don't know, how did that affect? Obviously it affected the groups because you guys couldn't meet up face to face anymore. So did that go online? How did you guys cope with that? Yeah, so obviously when we went into lockdown initially, we couldn't run the face-to-face meetings anymore, but we quickly set up an online platform. So each of the existing clubs had a online meeting room that they could use. It was challenging. A lot of people couldn't get on for various reasons. Some people didn't have the technology to get on. Other people didn't feel comfortable speaking in their home. They might have been having problems at home, so they didn't want to talk about it with where those people may be listening. We've managed to reopen the clubs now, all bar one, which we're still looking for a venue for. And the feedback that we've had from the lads has been phenomenal. They're so grateful to be able to get back to the face-to-face meetings, and we're running them now in a COVID-secure environment, so we can continue to run them throughout this second lockdown. Do you think that you get more from it, having that face-to-face meetings rather than online, though? Absolutely, yeah. The conversations are more free-flowing. When it's online, no one person can really talk at once. You get people talking over each other and you can't really hear what's going on. Whereas face-to-face, everything's, you can see everybody in the room rather than just one person on the screen at a time. And it gives lads a reason to get out of the house and look forward to somewhere to go and actually seeing people in person I think for the last, 8 or 9 months, we've spent a lot of our lives online and having to work from home online and everything like that.
Staring at a screen all the time.
But to be able to get away from that for a couple of hours once a week is priceless, really, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Personally, well, I work from home. I do a lot of interviews with bands and people who deal, are in the mental health charities as well, and I was just thinking, actually, I read something quite interesting. Who was the first big supporter for you guys? Was it Leeds United that were the big first, the supporter that, were wearing your merch and shouting, your charity name?
Leeds United have been massive. Wearing our kit, wearing our t-shirts and stuff to train up and warm up for matches, and obviously for the grounds. Huddersfield FC have done the same, but that's only been quite recent in the last couple of years. When we went right back to the beginning, Luke started the It's Okay to Talk campaign, where people were taking a selfie with the OK symbol, and we had some really big names take part in that right at the very beginning. Even people like Ricky Gervais got involved, and if anybody follows Ricky Gervais on Twitter, you'll know that he mostly only just posts about cats. So for him to... It
is. I follow him. That's all.
For him to deviate away from that to something serious like suicide prevention is absolutely phenomenal. It's massive. But there's been loads of people over the years, including like the Royals and things like that. Luke's been down to meet Prince Harry and Prince Charles on separate occasions for work alongside, because they do a lot of charity work as well. They do. Recognition and being invaluable.
I mean, it's been absolutely phenomenal, and it's really good because this is a cause that's very, very close to my heart. Mental illness awareness. I think it's something that people are aware, but until it happens, they aren't really aware how bad it is. Especially, now that COVID has hit, and it's something that I've never seen it happen before, and I didn't even know. At the time, it was like everyone was saying, oh, it's just the flu. But it's like, right, okay, it's not just the flu because people are dying in, more, in bigger capacity than ever. And then it's just like a lot more problems have been arising because people that prior to COVID didn't really think that they had a problem with depression and anxiety, and then the COVID hit, we went to lockdown, and then people started to realise, the more they spend time with themselves and in their heads, they start to realise, gosh, I have a problem and I have an issue that needs to be addressed.
One of the most natural response when you start suffering with mental health is you just ignore it. You brush it to one side and pretend that everything's okay. It's a lot harder to do that when you're isolated, when you're stuck in the house.
Oh, yeah.
When you don't have day-to-day conversations with people, make you feel more normal, more okay. If you're putting that mask onto other people, it's easy to pretend to yourself that you're okay as well. If you're just stuck in the house by yourself, you're not having those interactions, a lot more of those anxieties and dark thoughts come to the forefront of your mind, so you don't have the natural distraction from those. Lockdown's been tough. Been tough for a lot of people. I'm quite fortunate, like I said, that I've got 4 children who definitely kept me on my toes. So there was never a boring day during lockdown. I'm trying to work from home. Luckily, my partner was on maternity leave, but she's just gone back to work. So lockdown 2.0, I'm not quite sure how that's going to go. Obviously, we're into the winter months as well. It's getting darker earlier. We're not having as much daylight. I think people are already struggling. We reopened the country briefly, and businesses were starting to get back on the feet. Things were starting to get a little bit, more normal, back to how they were. And it's all just gone backwards again. And I think people are going to struggle a lot more this time because they're not starting from the advantage position that we were in February. We've had a good few years where things have been going quite well. Everyone's been quite fortunate. To have 6 months of everything being shaken up and things being stripped away from people, for then guys just starting to get back on their feet and for it all to be taken away again, it's going to be a tough couple of months ahead of us.
Do you think that you will start to have a lot more people attending groups now that they had this experience of, you know, being in self-isolation?
I think it's sort of a double-edged sword. So there is a massive increase in the need for services like ours. However, because of COVID, people are still very wary about where they go and leaving the house and things like that. So the fact that we had